What's up, guys? My name is Sam. Welcome back to another video. You're here for another episode of my F1 2021 career mode, episode 9 with Haas. Today is time for the Hungarian Grand Prix in season 1. If you guys haven't watched the previous episode, one of the jewels of the calendar, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, I highly recommend to go check it out because it was a crazy race. Spoiler alert, there was something huge at the first turn in the first lap. But anyway, we're going to focus as also in one of the jewels of the calendar, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Looking for see of what we can do. We're already buying some upgrades, which was fixing one that failed for the engine department. You can see that we still have 1.5k resource points to spend, but at this stage I want to save a little bit, at least for just this episode, because I want to have a good amount of resource points before the summer break, which is going to be after this race. And during the second half of the season, we got to start to think if we should cease development or not in order to start season 2 with a big package. I still need to think about that. But anyway, here we are on the garage, ready to start off the Hungarian Grand Prix. It seems that we're going to have some rain in qualifying, and we have 2 chassis upgrades and 1 air upgrade and 1 for the durability, and this is going to be a good package heading to this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. Performance shot getting closer to Alfa Romeo, and you can see, compare now the performance shots at the start of this race and then compare at the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. You can see that it's starting to get closer. I know that I always say this at the start of every single episode, but you know, I'm really excited to see next season. It's going to be, I think the grid is going to be so packed together, and it's going to be an absolute classic. This season is already being, we have shock races, shock race winners. Just imagine how it's going to be season 2, so make sure to stick around. I'm really excited. But first we need to deal with season 1. It's been good at the moment, and talking about good things, practice-wise, things are been looking good for us. The pace has been decent, and we're going to change some power unit components. We're going to change to the first package, we can say, because this is a track that doesn't require that much from the engine. And then of practice 1, we were 16 fastest behind, just behind 3,000 of a second behind our teammate Mick Schumacher. That is quite unbelievable. I did everything in practice 1. I always do, because I don't feel like to do things in practice 2 and 3. And I don't know, are things going to be close in qualifying? Track position is key at a track like this, because this is known as the Monaco without barriers. It has so many corners. It's a bit more forgiving because you have some gravel traps, some grass traps, we can say like that. But yeah, we'll see what we can do in this qualifying session. Very important track and position. This is a track where you don't want to take grid penalties as well, as we went super wide through this right-hander. This is the point of the track that I feel that I'm strong. I always feel comfortable with the traction, and the car has been feeling pretty nicely at a track like this, which is surprisingly, because this is a track with a lot of corners, requires a lot of the chassis, a lot of the aero especially, and these are 2 departments that this car struggles the most. Through the final corner we go, open the DRS, and this is going to be a 1:15.8 I should say, and at the moment it put us the last of the guys that set a time. Now we went into the second lap, and we gained a little bit on the third sector. In the final corner I always like to take a wide line, and here we go, open the DRS, almost 3/10 of improvement, and they put us only ahead of George Russell, so definitely not ideal, but I have the feeling that we have some time left on the table in these 2 laps, so nothing is lost. You can see that we're just 2/10 behind Mick Schumacher and 3/10 behind Kimi Räikkönen, as George Russell goes 16 fastest. So George Russell is not that brilliant qualifying in this game, and I think this is the most brilliant thing that he has done so far in this season. But anyway, we're going to join me for the entire lap and see what we can do about it as we brake really hard into the first corner, already gaining 2/10 of a second. You can see track evolution. I'm feeling more confident, so hopefully this is going to be the lap that put us in Q2. As now here you need to be really patient, make sure to take a tight line, and then you go a little bit wide, and we lost a tiny bit amount of time, but I think we can do something about it in the second sector through the fast left-hander. No track limit. Okay, that really aged so badly. I thought we were going to make it without putting all the wheels off the track. See, using all the track available through the long right-hander, and now through the chicane. Make sure to carry as much speed as you can. 4/10 of a second gaining in comparison with our previous best. So this is the lap that can put us in Q2. Let's not mess this up. We must not forget about the guys that are behind us. They can make great laps as well, because I think the track is getting faster and faster as we brake really hard. We missed a little bit the apex, so that is a bit painful, and now we have 2 corners to go. We went a bit wide. You can see that we're losing time. We lost 2/10 of a second, 3/10 of a second in the space of 1 corner. This is absolute disaster for us as we go through the final corner. We're not going to even improve by 2/10, and we cross a line and unfortunately I can tell already that it's not going to be Q2 for us, because we made that tiny mistake on the penultimate corner that is so cutting, and we're going to start in P19 for the Hungarian Grand Prix. This is an absolute disaster, and I can tell you, when I was doing this lap, when I was noticing that I was going wide in the penultimate corner and I saw the delta time, I said, okay, it is over unless I do a miracle in the last corner. But anyway, never say never. It's going to be quite a challenge this race, because overtaking, you know, like I said, Monaco without barriers, overtaking for sure is going to be challenging. But like in F1, like always, never say never in this sport. You never know what can happen. Hopefully we can have a, you know, a crazy race like we've been witnessing so far in this season. So really looking forward to what we can do starting in penultimate place. Without further ado, let's go to Sunday for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Welcome to Budapest once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. Historically a good race for first victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the first time here. We're northeast of Budapest for the race today at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc and Sainz, Norris, Vettel, Stroll and Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Bottas, they've taken a grid penalty, Pierre Gasly and Ocon, Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi, Thomas and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
No words from Jeff. It seems that he's pissed about that mistake in the penultimate corner. I am, but you know, today is a new day. Today is Sunday. We'll see if we can be happy at the streets. Okay, at the Hungarian ring, it's Monaco, but it's not a street. Strategy-wise, it's going to be a one-stop. You don't want to do the two-stop. It's not really viable. At a track like the Hungarian ring, you can see most of the guys starting outside of the top 10 are starting on the minims. Valtteri Bottas is starting outside of the top 10. It took some grid penalties in a track like Hungarian ring. What is Mercedes thinking? I don't know. We have to focus on our race as we're seeing those 5 red lights for the Hungarian Grand Prix. The last race before summer break, 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go at the Hungarian ring. And great start, already overtaking Antonio Giovinazzi, getting a little bit of a slipstream from the Williams car of Russell. We'll see what he can do as we go into turn 1. Russell closes the door pretty nicely, so we are forced to try to go through the long way around, but it doesn't work, and we find ourselves side by side with Gio. And now here we go very gingerly into the right hand. Let's see, into the left hand I should say. Let's see if we're not going to crash, and for the time being we could just gain one position as we have a snap of oversteer, and Giovinazzi thought about it, and in the process he is now vulnerable to Nicholas Latifi. Down inside, run outside he goes, and he's up into P19. He maintains that position, and you can see that everyone is bunched up there. Look at the traction that we have. Maybe no, it wasn't a very good traction, but down inside goes George Russell in the chicane. That is a very tight corner, but George Russell has a gut for it, and in the process he loses a lot of time, and that was very, very dirty for me. We barged our way into P17. Thankfully no side pod damage, and we are up into P17. I have to lift my hand. That was dirty for me, but it seems that FIA didn't see you know, that was kind of illegal, kind of dirty, and we don't have any sort of penalties. So yeah, we kind of ran away with this one, and let's move on. I'm sorry, George Russell. Yeah. Yeah, that was awful, but anyway, let's move on and see if we can overtake our teammate. Mick is doing pretty nicely so far in this race. He did a good qualifying session. He's been doing so good so far this season. but we've been even better. Schumacher going defensive. It seems that we're going to be forced to go for the long way round as Lewis Hamilton leads the race and Daniel Ricciardo in P2 thanks to Valtteri Bottas's, weird penalties. But I gotta give the credit to Ricciardo ahead of both Red Bulls, and I'm sorry to cut into the replay cameras, but you can see that we didn't make the move on Schumacher. So we did the fight for another day, for another lap, but they have it. Valtteri Bottas, the man in a mission, the championship leader, by 42 points. He's on a mission in order to salvage this day, damage limitation, but like I was saying, what is Mercedes thinking? As Stroll is still hanging in there, he's still taking the inside line. Bottas, this is overtake, is not being that easy, and Stroll comes back for more, ladies and gentlemen. Stroll showing that he's not in Formula 1 just because of money, and Stroll is still in there. What did Lance Stroll take for breakfast? If for sure it was maybe some Valtteri Bottas' pod rich, but finally Valtteri Bottas gets released. But kudos to, I have to give a round of applause to Mr. Lance Stroll for defending that position from Valtteri Bottas like it was the World Championship coming to play. That was fantastic. But like I was saying, I don't know what Mercedes was thinking to take grid penalties in a track like this. They could have, take grid penalties maybe, I don't know, at Spa. That is the next race. It's so easy to overtake, or maybe they already ran out of components. I'm not entirely sure. We've seen some engine failures from Mercedes so far in this season. Some victories getting stolen by reliability from the silver hours. But here we go, around the outside we go of Mick Schumacher. Finally on lap 6, it seems that we find a way to overtake our teammate. Beautiful Cam shot, just to show the traction difference between myself and Mick. And finally we are ahead of our teammate. You can see that momentarily that we got an achievement from track mastery at the Hungaroring, so that is good timing actually. To get an achievement like that where we're overtaking around the outside of our teammate. But anyway, these are the two stoppers, Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas, pulling into the pits, dressing a brand new set of medium tires. They're going to come in later to fit another set of medium. So these guys have a hard race ahead of them because they're outside of the top 10. And they still have to do another stop, so this is not going to be an easy afternoon for Lando Norris, even more for Valtteri Bottas. That is the championship leader. Good thing that he has a solid lead at the moment. This is Daniel Ricciardo on the hardest compound of tire, and I'm trying at the moment to overtake Kimi Raikkonen, but now Ricciardo is in the middle of this sandwich, and it seems that now he's trying to find a way to overtake Kimi Raikkonen like I'm trying to do what I've been trying to do a few laps ago. So we'll see what Ricciardo is going to do about it. Maybe we can take the pieces of this battle, but there you go, side by side we go. This is not really good. Conde going to lose a lot of momentum, and now I'm trying to find a way, but the thing is, this track is so narrow, I can't find a way to overtake, but Raikkonen goes wide, and this can be our chance to overtake the Finn. There we go, down inside we go through the chicane, overtaking, squeezing me very aggressively, I should say, and finally we overtook Raikkonen. I gotta thank to Daniel Ricciardo for providing us that opportunity. Finally we overtook the Alfa Romeo and we are up into P9, but that's because the two stoppers already stopped. But Lewis Hamilton, he already stopped, and he's on the hardest compound of tires, so this makes me believe that Mercedes is trying to do the one stop by going from the softs to the hards, and this can work, and if it works, Hamilton is going to win by an absolute mile, and Ricciardo is in the same boat as well. So it seems that maybe the one stop can be viable even if you start on the softs, and Fernando also leads the race at the moment. He's starting on the medium, so he's going longer, and this is a huge strain, and these guys are on a two stop, doesn't seem to find a way to overtake these guys. It's a free ride between the two horses and Lando Norris, and now Norris finds vulnerable to from Valtteri Bottas. Bottas tries to go run inside, Sainz tries to go run inside of his teammate. This is absolutely fantastic stuff. These guys are not overtaking anyone, they're losing time with each other. This is absolute gold for us on the one stop, and finally I think Leclerc, Sainz go through. However, Bottas is still going at it with Lando Norris, but Bottas has the inside line, but Norris somehow finds to, actually no, he already I thought Norris somehow managed to still going side by side with Bottas by going around the outside, but it wasn't the case. They didn't have enough traction in that McLaren. But meanwhile, we are in P6, and you know what will come in handy? A safety car, and that's what is going to happen. No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to give you a little heart attack. I apologize. Don't leave the dislike. Anyway, Valtteri Bottas pulling into the pits as well. This is lap 12, and he's fitting the hards. What is Mercedes thinking? Oh, he's changing the front wing. Oh, that's why. So Bottas made contact with someone, most likely to be Norris, or with another slow car maybe. But Bottas' race is over, basically. He needs a miracle now to score points. But yeah, what a dreadful afternoon is being for the championship leader at the moment. Sergio Perez, round the side course of Mick Schumacher, and this should be an easy move. Perez is on the one stop as well. I need to see Verstappen's tires to see if Red Bull is in the same strategy with the two drivers. Schumacher's is hanging in there, trying to hold around the outside, but I think at the end of the day, yes, Perez is going to win, but good stuff from Schumacher. Kudos for that overtake. And now we come back to our POV, skipping a little bit forward onto lap 16. This is Perez trying to go on the inside, but there is not going to be any sort of battle because we're going to pull into the pits and dread a set of hard tires. So we'll see. It was a very good stint. We overtook Schumacher and Raikkonen, but from then on it was a quiet race. I tried to do consistent laps, taking the advantage of the dirty air while the other guys are battling around points. I think it's going to be really hard, but you never know. I managed to score a podium in the My Team Career Mode on F1 2020 with a midfield car, thanks to the one stops. You never know what's gonna happen, but here we go. We have a brand new set of hard tires and we're going to cross the line hopefully in this set, and let's see what we can do about it. Find ourselves in P16. Valtteri Bottas is really close to us in striking distance, so I think sooner rather than later we're going to be overtaken by that Mercedes car. And you can see starting lap 18, Bottas is getting closer, closer and closer, and really gain. I don't know why I'm doing defensive. I'm not going to give that much resistance because first is a Mercedes and we are in a completely different race. You're outside of the points anyway, but you can see that Bottas actually didn't overtake me on that lap, but now on lap 19 he's going to do that. You can see that I'm not deploying any RS because there's no point. It's a Mercedes, we're in a completely different race. I'm trying to pull away from Raikkonen, which we're doing so. Raikkonen, we are 4 seconds away of the Finn, so in terms of our league, the guys of our league, we're doing a pretty decent job at the moment. This is Lando Norris doing his second and final stop of the day, of the afternoon I should say, and he's going to leave just behind Raikkonen. He's going to be pretty close. Raikkonen gets a good traction, however Norris is going to have the advantage of those mediums. Raikkonen is ahead, but Norris will try to go running outside, doesn't want to lose any sort of time with these guys. Who's going to be the biggest winner? Norris has the inside line and Norris gets released and gets up into P15. But yeah, Bottas and Norris, it's been a dreadful race. It's been a nightmare of a race. Esteban Ocon is being a nightmare of a race as well. I think he pitted in the first few laps to change front wing. I think Norris has been crashing a lot so far in this season. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm seeing a lot Esteban Ocon losing front wings. The down inside goes Lando Norris, and we're going to have the same thinking of what it was with Bottas. We're not going to bother with these guys. They are in a completely different race, and we're doing pretty nicely at the moment, up into P14, which is pretty good considering that the car that we have. 5 seconds ahead of Raikkonen. We're being consistent. I've stepped a little bit on the curb, and that is not the way to go if you want to be consistent. It was the first mistake of the afternoon. Thankfully we didn't do a Spinella, and this is Bottas down inside. He goes off Lance Stroll. This is round 2, baby. These two guys went side by side on the first laps and it was amazing, but this time it was easier for Bottas. He went a bit more aggressive on the Canadian, and now it's time for Lando Norris to do the same. He doesn't even need to outbrake the Aston Martin, and he's up into P12. Like I was saying, we're kind of in a league of our own. It's been kind of a boring race from us. And this is Bottas! Bottas is pitting again! Look at the lap! 34 out of 35! Bottas pits with 2 laps to go! He was aiming for P10 at least, or P9, I don't know. But now it's over! Bottas pulls into the pits, and he didn't change the front wing, so was it a slow puncture? I don't know, but I don't know. Bottas' car today is cursed. Absolutely cursed. And you can see that he's just ahead of us. He's on the softest comparative side. So what he's going to do now is try to steal the fastest lap from Lewis Hamilton. And yeah, he's 1 less point in the back of the Prix. Talking about Hamilton in a league of his own. The master of the Hungarian is back. Amazing one stop. And Hamilton is back. Wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. And out of nowhere gains 25 points in the space of 1 race. This championship is not over by a long shot. For us, it was the best that I could do in this car. P14 in the Haas. We beat the guys of our league, so we're kind of the best of the back markers, we can say. It was a very good race. We were consistent for most of the race, and it shows that the gap to Raikkonen is 3 seconds. In these last few laps, I took a bit the pedal of the metal in order to as well to save a bit of power unity. But yeah, positive day before the summer break.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
It's a performance to be proud of today from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
To be honest, I don't remember when it was the last time that Hamilton won. Was the Austrian Grand Prix? Last race it was Bottas. Austrian Grand Prix, I think it was Bottas as well. And then at the French Grand Prix was Lando Norris, so it's been quite a while since Hamilton won a race. This is very weird to see. Anyway, they have it. Confirmation results. Great result from Ricciardo, finishing ahead of the two Red Bulls. Ricciardo finally finding his feet in McLaren. And for us is P14, the best that we could do. And Bottas down in P13, an awful afternoon. He managed to get the fastest lap, so he stole 1 point from Lewis. And you can see that Norris was 3/10 away of scoring 1 point. So very close margins in this race. But for us, it was a bit boring. But thankfully, the guys from the midfield managed to give us a bit of entertainment. Behind us, we have Kimi Räikkönen, Mick, Gio, and then Esteban Ocon with a dreadful afternoon as well. Ocon has been crashing a lot so far in this season, I don't know why. And then Valtteri Bottas now, his lead is down to 17 points. How things have changed. Hamilton in second place, Verstappen and Perez overtook Norris after an awful race from the Brit. And Daniel Ricciardo gets up into P6, and now he's not very far from his teammate. And Yuki Tsunoda overtakes Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon at the moment being obliterated by his teammate Fernando Alonso. About us, we remain in P15, 3 points behind Lance Stroll, 12 points for the taking. And then in the constructor standings, AlphaTauri re-overtakes Aston Martin. It was the opposite in the last race, but for Haas is still 13 points. We're doing what we can, and let's see if we can get stronger results. And now in this second half of the season, which is going to be the next episode of Belgian Grand Prix. If you reached here, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. It really motivates me to make more weekly F1 content in this channel. Make sure to join the family. It's going to have an absolutely bang over time. But that has been me for today. My name's Tom, and I'll see you guys for pretty fit next time. But for now, take care.